Let's call the meeting in order. Roll call.
Nancy Burmeister.
Here.
Nancy Keeble. Here. Dustin Ladysmith here. Jared Fuller.
Here.
Jen Pearson. Mike Russell.
Yep.
Jeff Logan.
Here.
Move to approve the agenda as presented on board docs.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Comments from the audience? We don't have any. And we'll go on to the budget update.
So we have Elise Murray here to help present on that. She will run through all of the financial stuff. So I'm gonna just turn it over to her. She is joining us virtually.
Good evening, can you hear me okay?
Camille,
Talk again, please.
Testing, testing. You can hear me
There
now?
you go. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you for having me virtually, everybody. You'll be pleased to know the presentation is chock full of really fantastic information, but it is only time flies, which we will all appreciate as a relief from my typical, double digits. So, tonight, our plan is to give you a brief update on the 25-26 budget, how we're trending, talk through the 26-27 preliminary budget and the assumptions that are driving those at this point in time, share the referendum scenarios that will be outlined on the survey that the board will also be reviewing this evening, and then finally talk through the pieces of the district's cash defeasance summary where there is board action required as a result of the cash defeasance. So lots of financial items that are timely at this time of year. So just a quick update on the 25-26 budget. So we are currently spending in line, if not a little bit under historical performance. One of the areas that we are performing a little better than expected is actually, if you'll notice on the screen, so the little snapshot to the right-hand side gives us a summary of the percent of the budget expended at this time of the year. So the 2026 column is obviously our current year activity, and then the prior year columns show at this time, so in March of 2025, how much of our budget have we expended year to date. So it's a really good indicator. It's a really good financial snapshot that helps us see how does our current year spending track with historical spending, and where are there areas that might be out of whack. The areas we like to focus on most are salaries and benefits. So you'll notice that salaries are roughly 54% expended compared to, the average. We're right in line. Similarly, benefits, we are tracking slightly under. And the reason for that is because within the budget, there was a allocation provided for the old plan retirees where the district makes a contribution for those who are grandfathered into the old benefit plan. And we actually have fewer members on that plan now, so the budget reflects a higher number than what we will actually end up expending in that area for 25-26. So what I look at is the lower bottom right corner where we spent almost 45% of the budget, and that pretty much tracks in line with historical activity. So our focus for the year, or our focus really now as we head into the final months of the fiscal year, is going to be or areas that we have on our minds that will be important will be maintenance and buildings and grounds, and kind of the start of summer projects and the focus areas of what needs to get accomplished while there are no students in the building. So some of those will fall in fiscal year 25-26. Some may fall into 26-27. And we kind of, we track that as it relates to what budget dollars we have available as we head into June. The next note that I have is related to this budget repair bill. So I don't know how much, it's been in the news a bit about, House Speaker Voss and Evers going into negotiations to handle this budget surplus that we have. So there was a lot of discussion in February that there was going to be relief for property tax bills. That was kind of a loud cry from Wisconsin school districts all across the state that taxes had gone up on average 8%. So there was some suggestion that the budget surplus should go towards property tax relief. There was not an agreement, and so they're still negotiating, and now the discussions have been focusing on the special education categorical aid reimbursement. So if that comes to pass, we are currently already budgeted conservatively in that area. So if the budget repair bill suggests a higher special education reimbursement rate than our budgeted 38%, we could see a surplus at the end of the year, and could discuss strategies then for how to handle that surplus in the months of May and June. So I wish I had more information on that budget repair bill in specific, but as soon as I know, the board will be updated. Any questions on the current year budget? Okay. So when building the 26-27 budget, I thought it would be best to kind of talk through it verbally first and then show you the output one from our budget model. So first and foremost, as you're sick of hearing me say, the operational referendum, the $600,000 of non-recurring revenue limit authority is critical to the district being able to balance the current year budget. So it makes up a significant source of our revenue limit revenue, and it really is keeping the operations at where they are. We are still negotiating or learning what the final health insurance rate will be for 26-27, hoping to have some information on that in the next coming weeks, I suppose. We are currently budgeting conservatively 10%. I know that sounds silly, like conservative is 10%. We're really hopeful it comes in under that, but unfortunately, statewide, I've heard of some districts seeing 15% increases for health insurance renewal rates, 20% in some really dire cases. And if that's the case, then that could certainly cause the 26-27 budget to look much more bleak. So that is still forthcoming. It is a large mover in our operating budget. So we have a preliminary figure estimated right now, and that will still change. The next piece is that declining enrollment continues to impact Ladysmith. It impacts 75% of school districts across the state. We're not necessarily unique in that we have declining enrollment. We are seeing some really large class sizes graduating and some much smaller class sizes coming in. So while some schools may be graduating off, 100 seniors and bringing in 90 kindergartners, we are more like graduating, the gap is much larger. So that continues to be a concern because it impacts our ability to raise revenue limit revenue. And that's why the operating referendum is so important. So despite all of this, the district has a very strong fund balance and a healthy Fund 46, so that if some type of emergency were to happen, flooding or some other type of emergency repair that would be needed immediately, the district will be able to cover it out of their reserves or out of their Fund 46. And I anecdotally know of a number of districts that would not be able to make that purchase out of their reserves or out of their Fund 46 account. So Ladysmith is very well positioned in case of any of those kind of one-time emergency type of items. So what does that mean then when we look at the forecast? So you guys are familiar with this output from the forecast model. It just summarizes the assumptions that are going into our preliminary budget numbers for 26-27. So you'll notice the declining enrollment is that very top line. That September membership, dropping by 20 FTEs from one year to the next. That is pretty drastic. And the formula has an exemption that kind of helps slow the decline, but this is one of the reasons the district needs to renew its current operating referendum authority, because we're losing kids and the state isn't adding revenue at the same rate. So that declining enrollment, as I mentioned, continues to impact us. We have the current biannual budget as it's written in law for 26-27. I mentioned, some of these other statewide things that could change. It could impact our estimated mill rate or tax levy. It could change our estimated transfer to Fund 27. So that's included in the forecast. We are currently accounting for 2.63% for salary increases, 10% for health insurance, as I mentioned, 2.8% for transportation, 3% increase on utilities, business insurances, and then some staffing adjustments that will be discussed later this evening to kind of keep the budget balanced. So this is kind of the preliminary snapshot for 26-27 before the board will kind of formally adopt the 26-27 budget in June. Any questions on the 26-27 budget?
I got a comment. So, don't you think it's more than just the declining enrollment that's causing the problem? I mean, because as enrollment declines, we have less teachers required, right? Less staff, and we have gotten rid of staff. We've gotten rid of administration staff, we've gotten rid of admin, we've gotten rid of teachers, through attrition, we've gotten rid of teachers. But the big problem from the state is because they don't take into consideration that we've got to give a salary increase next year to everybody. We've got other increases in inflationary things that's where we lose. That's where the problem comes.
Yeah, agreed. So
I mean, it's not
certainly
just the declining
the year-over-year inflationary increases that we see, you'll see the most in salaries. Health insurance is really hitting a lot of districts hard for 26-27. So in Ladysmith, that health insurance line item is getting estimated to be $1.3 million, over $1.3 million for next year. So if our budget is $12 million and health insurance is 1.3, that's significant. And we have only a few more tools left in our tool belt to manage those health insurance costs, so long as the district wants to offer great benefits. Another thing I'll mention, Jeff, is that statewide special education costs are rising. And so that's why we hear that there's bipartisan support for reimbursement to special education. Because, those costs are going up, more students with needs, and it's not funded fully at the state level. So you hit it on the head. It's beyond the declining enrollment, which is important and critical. We have to pay our staff. We have to basically deal with these increases to health insurance unless we want to go out to bid again or kind of renegotiate that whole process, which is always an option for districts. The rising special education costs are certainly an uphill battle for a lot of districts across the state as well. So, 26-27 is the district's, the last year of the non-recurring referendum. So that's why we've got the 600,000 highlighted on the slide. And so the next slide that I'll be speaking to are the kind of three options that Scott will detail for the survey, and just kind of help the board know what those different options could provide to the district. And then most importantly, the tax impacts, right? Because when districts are going to referendum, they want to know, what did you do with the last one? What happens with the dollars from the last referendum? What is the new referendum going towards, and how does it impact my taxes? So next slide here. So I'll just share the three options that are being surveyed. So the first amount being surveyed is for $950,000. And it's really to maintain some of the current programs and services. I say some because over the next 5 years, if Ladysmith does continue to lose, 20 resident students, over that period of time, there will need to be some right sizing. Okay, so that's why it says current, some current programs and services, because throughout that period, things will need to look different because the student population is shifting. So not filling some staffing positions when people retire, and then kind of address facility needs as they come. So I call it a little bit of like a whack-a-mole approach. Like when something comes up, we pay for it, versus some of the other options outline some more proactive facility planning. So 950, I think, is really meant to replace and then account for kind of some of the inflationary expenditures that the district has seen since the beginning of the last operational referendum, which was back in 2022. Right, so now looking at 27, 28, the district looks different. And we were able to make do with the 600,000 plus some COVID relief monies, which was significant for Ladysmith. So the 950 is really kind of what we need in order to operate at a minimum. The next option being surveyed is for 1.2 million, and that is to maintain most current programs and services, and then to really be able to proactively address some of the larger scale needs that the district is kind of still tackling. And then the final is to maintain the current programs and services, proactively address those maintenance, electric, plumbing, etc. And then also to increase staff compensation to remain competitive. So infusing the staffing or the salary schedule, kind of determining market adjustments for staff based on years of experience, reevaluating the pay for entry-level educators, those types of things. None of that's been set in stone, but we've kind of costed out what we might need in order to accomplish some of those market adjustments, and then that's estimated to kind of increase the referendum ask by another 300,000. And Scott is going to cover the survey in more detail, but I thought since those will be going out soon, you all will be getting questions, what's this going towards? So hopefully I gave you some verbal cues that you'd be able to easily speak to. I mean, ultimately, people want to know, what's this going to do to my taxes? That is one of the kind of most critical questions. And you'll notice that we're asking for another $350,000 at an estimated 10 cents on the mill rate. So some staff astutely noticed when Jason was kind of talking initially, like, well, how does that work exactly? How can we ask for $350,000 more at a 10 cent impact? So the way that the district is able to accomplish this is really by managing the debt levy over the last couple of years. So what this graph is meant to show is how, well, this is kind of in the mill rate form, but the gray portion, okay, so the gray portion of the mill rate bar is representing all the other school district levies. And then the blue is representing kind of that existing operational referendum authority. As you track forward to 27, 28, you'll notice we're really just shifting the other school levies to kind of accommodate the additional $350,000 for the operational ask. So primarily, it's been the district's careful and long-term planning and management of its Fund 39 levy that will allow the district to layer in an additional $350,000 at a minimal impact to the taxpayer. So the board has proactively managed the levy for the last 5 years in making a purposeful kind of plan. The district's levy has basically stayed the same for the last 5 years through managing Fund 39. So every fall, the district sets its budget and levy, and in Fund 39, we're obligated to levy at least the principal and interest that's due on the bond, and can levy early in order to pay down interest early and accelerate state equalization aid into the district. So because the board has proactively managed the levy over these years, the district is able to layer in another $350,000 of operational authority at a 10 cent impact on the mill rate. Did I explain that okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
So when we had the last referendum, the mill rate didn't change, right? Because we had paid something off and it went even, right? So there was no increase. And so now we're only asking for 10 cents per $100,000.
Pretty much, that's pretty much where we're at.
$10 per 100.
Per $100,000.
Yeah, 10 cents per
Yep,
$1,000.
sorry, yep.
Can you hear that, Elise?
Yeah, so I think what I heard was that we have the mill rate actually has gone down because the district has seen large increases in its equalized property value. Basically just means that fair market values are going up, everyone's homes are worth more, the mill rate is going down, and so sometimes for those who see the mill rate go down but their portion of the tax bill go up, it's confusing. So essentially, your portion, your property is worth more within the district, and whether as a result of a reassessment or a change in your personal property, then you personally may have seen an increase on the school portion of your tax bill. But the part that the district is responsible for, we can really only control the levy. We can't control individual properties. So from the district's perspective, we've actually kept the levy flat really for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something about 5 years ago, the school did a whole lot less, but the city raised their rates up like 20%.
Right.
And so everybody's tax bill didn't go down, and it should have. Because we've been collecting less and less money.
Right. Less people look at it.
Because we have less people, less kids, less enrollment, less.
Did we do the referendum 2 years ago or 1 year ago?
The current one will be ending in 2022.
Really?
Yeah.
Time flies.
This is year 4 of the 5 year.
It is, okay, so that's 4 years ago already then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, the 600,000 came on in 22-23, in conjunction with COVID, which I think is what helps the district kind of make all the decision, accomplish all the things that the district has been able to do over the last 5 years. And the most, to me, from the tax and levy management piece is that every fall, the districts can make a choice to levy early in Fund 39, pay down existing Fund 39 debt in order to make space for, layering in operational, this increased operational ask, or down the line, a capital potentially of some kind. But essentially, in the fall, you set the levy, and then in the spring, you prepay that debt, you realize the interest savings, you increase your Fund 39 expenditures by prepaying the debt, and then because Ladysmith is positively aided, you receive state aid on that expenditure, which helps taxes more in our world. So it's a good lead-in then to kind of the defeasance process and levying. So this next slide kind of outlines, now the board has prepaid debt every year since, I want to say maybe 23 or 24. And each time has realized significant interest savings by doing so. So essentially, as I mentioned in the fall, the district levied early $825,000 in excess of the calendar year payments in order to prepay Fund 39 debt. So essentially what ends up happening then is that those funds will go into an escrow account. The escrow agent becomes responsible for the obligations of the school district's debt, and we consider it off our books. So once we've kind of targeted the specific maturities that are to be prepaid, then the escrow agent is responsible for making those payments, and Ladysmith is no longer obligated. So we're estimating that the Ladysmith School District will save roughly $375,000 by defeasing these maturities that I'm about to outline on the slide. So kind of really the board action that's required is the resolution that is on the agenda for this evening. And then we kind of make that payment in April, and the district gets a new debt schedule once that payment has been made, and the debt schedule reflects the lower principal and interest payments as a result. So this is the nerdy side of it, which maturities are being prepaid or defeased in part. So those that are outlined in blue have been targeted to kind of increase or maximize savings. Historically, we also have prepaid earlier maturities in order to make space for a potential increase in operational needs. So all of these decisions that the board has been making proactively to put the district in the best spot possible to have a small tax impact for the increased operational ask. So it's a lot of planning ahead, a lot of looking forward, and a lot of saying what benefits the district in 5 years. The board was doing that 5 years ago, saying, managing our levy over time, prepaying debt that benefits us and allows us to step into a higher operational dollar amount, whether fully aware of it at the time or not, it did position the district very well to be renewing the operational referendum now. So, as I mentioned, lots of financial pieces of the puzzle tonight. We kind of covered the whole gamut. Are there any questions for me on anything that I spoke to?
No questions, go ahead, move on to the next.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you. Very good.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I thought she was going to do another subject there. Didn't kick her off like that. Okay.
All right, so we have Scott from School Perceptions here to discuss the survey that Elise alluded to with the 3 questions. Board members all have a paper copy of it in front of you. Scott will kind of run through it here and just highlight what is in the survey and then kind of detail the next steps forward. I'll turn it over to Scott.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the intro, Jason, and Elise, that presentation. Before I got started, are you all seeing the survey on the screen as well?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to take you through the 4 pages here, and the key is I want to make sure you all understand and are satisfied with the data you're going to get back on the back end of this. So we've got a 4-page survey. Our surveys are always 4 or 8 pages. We're able to do a 4-pager, which is great because we see the response rate increase on a 4-page survey just because it's shorter. So we were excited to be able to do that. And what we start with on this front page is the opening letter. And so this is where we're kind of trying to take a really big picture view of the challenge that folks are going to read about when they go through the survey, and hopefully interest them in turning the page and taking the survey. So we explain that the district needs your input to help address a significant challenge. That challenge is that the additional funding voters approved in 2022 expires next year. While we've made cuts, we are still projecting a budget deficit. Without replacement funding, the district will need to make significant cuts to student programs and services. Then in bold, for folks who are just going to skim, we want to really stress that we know any plan must reflect the priorities of our taxpayers, and this survey will explain our situation and gather your feedback on what to do next. We let them know that we at School Perceptions are the ones who will collect the responses, so they're confidential. It's not anyone with the district going through them. And then a very colorful box that explains how folks can take the survey. So there's 2 ways. They can either go online to this website, and in this blank space underneath, they'll have a unique access code. So they can enter that, and it will allow them to take the Ladysmith survey, and it will ensure that they can only take that survey once. So that really ensures the data integrity. Some folks still like to sit down with a pen or a pencil with a coffee in the morning on a Saturday morning or something and fill it out. And they can do that and either return it to a school office and you all can scan it to us or mail it to us, or every survey comes with a prepaid envelope that they can stick it in and send it directly to us to input that data. And we actually find about a third of surveys still come back via paper. And when you look at the 65 plus group in most communities, it actually jumps to about 2/3 of surveys being returned that way. It's very useful to have both of those. Because we mail 1 per household, we will send the district additional paper copies as well as additional codes so that if there's a multi-generational household or a household where both spouses want to take the survey, they can call the district and do that. Down here, we just explain that they can call the district for additional support and that results will be reported at a board meeting so that they know they're not sending this survey and never going to hear about the results. This opening letter is signed by Jason as the district administrator and the school board. So then we move into some of the background, help folks understand the challenges a bit more. So we've got 5 bullets here that explain some of what Elise was sharing as well about the financial challenges that got the district here. So The additional funding approved in 2022 expires next year. We explain what that has provided, $600,000 every school year, and how that money has been used. And we explain that state and federal funding are not keeping up with increasing costs for things like busing, utilities, insurance, and services for students receiving special education. ESSER funding allowed the district to balance a budget that would have otherwise resulted in deficit spending. ESSER dollars provided temporary relief that expired in, and that should be 2023-24. Across Wisconsin, 74%,
I mean, people get to know what ESSER funding means.
Yeah, so people know what ESSER funding means.
I mean, you should just put that in parentheses.
perhaps from the federal government.
In parentheses.
Yeah, just right
like
after that, they're not gonna.
COVID, additional funding during COVID. or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Something simple.
Something, yeah, it doesn't have to be the full acronym, what the acronym stands for, but.
Something like that.
Something like what?
It says additional funding during the COVID pandemic and.
Oh, I can't see that.
Additional funding during the COVID pandemic.
It's also, guys.
Yes, it's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's a really good note. I appreciate that. So then we explain that across Wisconsin, 74% of school districts have fewer students now than they did 15 years ago, including Ladysmith. This is an issue because how much money we receive is based on the number of students we have. Since these declines are spread across grade levels, rarely is there an opportunity for meaningful savings through staffing reductions or attrition. Finally, the state limits the amount of money available to the district from state aid and local property taxes. This used to increase with inflation, but the state ended that in 2009. If that had continued, Ladysmith schools would have approximately $2.5 million in additional funds this year, based on a number of $3,573 more per student. So now that we've explained some of the challenges that led to the situation, we want to share what the district has been doing. So to help balance the budget over the past few years, the district has not filled some positions when employees retired or left, including reducing middle high school administration from 2 positions to 1, and not filling school counselor and district office staff positions. Adjusted insurance plans to minimize cost increases, partnered with neighboring school districts to share services, paid off debt early to reduce interest expenses, delayed non-essential building maintenance, and extended the replacement cycle for technology devices. So showing how the district is trying to be responsible with the funds it has. Even with these efforts, we're projecting a budget shortfall that averages $1.2 million per year if voters do not support a replacement referendum. We are not alone. To address budget issues like these, most school districts in Wisconsin have asked their voters to increase funding through an operational referendum. This is used to support day-to-day operations, programming, student services, and building maintenance. So now we ask a question that isn't tied to a certain, Elise outlined those amounts, and we'll get to that on the next page. But right now, this question, would you support the district pursuing a replacement operational referendum? This is just tied to the challenges. So this is where we'll understand, do folks feel that these challenges are significant enough that they'll let you pursue, take the next steps toward consideration of. So we like to think of it as a permission slip. It kind of gives you permission to pursue without a specific plan. And if you hear no to the plans on the next page, the results here can help give you some direction with maybe alternatives after that, if that makes sense. Some space for comments, questions, and suggestions. And then we move on to operational funding support. So in response to the challenges outlined on the previous page, the district has developed 3 options, and these are the same options that Elise showed you. $950,000 each year, and what that would accomplish, along with the tax impact of that plan. Option 2 is $1.2 million each year, what that would accomplish, and the tax impact of that plan. And finally, option 3, providing $1.5 million each year, what that would accomplish, and the tax impact of that plan. We asked which operational referendum amount would you support? We have those 3 options there, along with I would not support any referendum and not sure, need more information. Underneath that, we explain that if voters do not support any referendum, the district will need to make additional budget cuts. Please mark any reductions you believe Ladysmith should make. We've got 8 options there, including an other, and these can just give you some direction. You know, none of these on their own is going to close a big budget deficit, but they can help give you some direction and understanding what your community is prioritizing in your budget as you make tough decisions if necessary. Finally, page 4, we have some overall satisfaction questions where we ask how the district is doing in 4 areas, as well as a general scale of 0 to 10. How likely would you be to recommend the district to a friend or family member? And then at the bottom of page 4, some of the most important data on our end when we're analyzing this, we ask, what is your age? Is your primary residence in the district, which is key because you'll have staff who might live outside your boundaries, perhaps families or someone who has a second home somewhere. We need to know that because we need to know if they would be able to vote, right? So folks who say yes there, it means that they would be able to vote. And when we're predicting a referendum outcome, we want to focus on voters. If we ask in which municipality do you live, that helps us identify if there are any pockets of support or opposition to the plan. Are you an employee of the school district, and do you have children attending a school in the district? Those help us break down the data into sort of 3 key subgroups: the parents, the staff, and then the non-parents, non-staff, which are the biggest part of your community. The no folks for those 2 questions. And then finally, how would you like to receive information from us? This can be really useful data, both if you pursue a referendum, as well as whatever next steps you take, how those different subgroups want to be communicated with as you're trying to share information out with your community about the district. We thank them for their participation, and that's the end of the survey.
So I would add something in the option 2 and option 3. We need to add something that we're proactively address electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and safety needs. We need to have an addition in there that weren't covered by the previous referendum. Because we just asked the taxpayers to give us $21 million to address those specific things.
Absolutely.
And that, I mean, that's something, if I was reading this, I would go, why do we need to proactively address these? Didn't we just give you a bunch of money to address these? When in reality, we're not saying to address those things, it's to be proactive with repairs and things like that.
That's a good point, though. So again, you have the operational versus capital part.
Yeah, they gotta make sure we
Yeah.
understand, hey,
We gotta keep all this
just
stuff.
because we did
running.
all that stuff doesn't mean,
We invested $21 million into the building, we need to maintain it now. And I think we just need something that specifies that that's what that money's for, is maintaining that, those assets instead of
just
replacing.
let them go.
Yeah.
Any other suggestions or thoughts?
I think it's a really good point that Dustin brought up, because there's a lot of schools that don't do it, and they get 10 years later, there they are.
Right, and I don't want people to misunderstand, thinking we're asking for more money so that we can do these things that we didn't do in the last one, when in reality, we did do those things that we said we were gonna do. This is to maintain those and keep them up and running.
Absolutely.
Other than that, it looks really good, I think.
I would agree.
I think it's gonna really provide us some beneficial information.
Do we have a list of things that have already been cut?
So we'll have that, yes, right? So we actually that's some of what's listed here.
Yeah.
Some of the things, but then we'll have for next, if we actually are referendum, we'll have it. Then also the costing of what we've got in this agency.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
We gotta go.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll have Scott just speak to kind of the next part of the process. Could you just,
Yeah, so, thank you. So tomorrow, we'll make sure everything is looking good, and we will send this to an external proofer who catches, a crossed I and a dotted T or what have you, a misplaced comma. He'll make sure that everything is welcome there. And once we get it back from him, we would plan to send it to print. The plan is by next Monday. That would allow surveys to land in mailboxes the week of April 20th. Before that, we would actually email it to staff the week before. We like to email it out to staff ahead of time, just so they, when they get stopped in the grocery store and are asked, what's this survey about? They have a little bit because they've seen it and maybe taken it. But it'll land in mailboxes the week of April 20th. The deadline will be May 11th, and we will have results to you all at your June meeting, June 10th. And then that'll leave about a little over 2 months to make a final decision on a resolution and amount and things like that ahead of the ballot language deadline, if you will.
Do we do any advertising on the importance and why we want this information? Facebook, WA?
so that we'll have it all, it'll get, yes, so there's a Facebook post that kind of started, so we'll have that go up that way. Luke's willing, we'll have like information, we'll put something in there. And then we'll obviously send the thing out to parents, to our own parents fair, to let them know that they should be receiving it. The hard reach is obviously those people who don't have any necessary connection directly to the district, but I think we'll do our best to get it out.
WEAU, man, it's playing, or WJBL, it's playing in every barn across the. I mean, because I picture people getting it and going, oh, they want to do another survey. I think it'd be beneficial to explain why this information is important and the decisions it's helping us try to make.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions, comments? Let's go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Scott.
it. Appreciate your hard work.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you all.
Have a
Have a
good
great
evening.
evening.
Okay, we're on to
Probably.
All right, administrative reports. Give us your high level. You guys do a great job of getting better and better at your desk.
Yeah, awesome.
Just give us a high level of your.
I'll go first, so my computer's almost dead. We went to sale this past month, and I think the process overall has been good. We reviewed more data, and processes from the past year and going up into the next year. Feels like it's given us a good direction as a team and more cohesive for the whole district instead of one building versus the other. At the time, one of the goals we set was unpacking the standards, which worked out well because that's what we did and focused on during our March PD days, which is just teachers understanding every single standard that they're responsible for teaching and making sure we're not having gaps in our standards, which we've uncovered over the years, a few here and there that have been missing. So this past week, got surprised that we're being audited for our summer school attendance, 4K kindergarten, first grade programming as well. So had to get some different stuff there. Midst of summer school sign up, right now, I think we're at about 100, a little over 100 that signed up, which isn't abnormal. Last year, we finished at about 180, but there's quite a few that hopefully will still sign up. We're gonna reach out to families yet here. And then we had our 4K registration. Thank you to Ms. Bork, Ms. Van Epper, and Ms. Bergen for all their hard work in coordinating it all. Went pretty well. Have some different ideas and stuff for next year already. And then we are currently in the midst of state testing and our testing for Act 20 with Ames Web, which began last week and will continue out even past spring break. So.
Very good. Any questions for Troy?
Who does the audit? Does the state? And what do they try to determine? Do you know what they're looking for?
We're just on all the districts, you're just on a rolling, like this all food service audit, pupil audit, we had the Title I audit, it's a rotation, they just look for any irregularities.
It just can't be cheap. We don't have enough money for kids to have what they need, but then they'll pay for that. So I was wondering,
DPI, that's part of the reporting, but yeah.
crazy.
Oh, and our staff went to Canot too, to look at curriculums.
What?
What they're using for their elementary ELA curriculum, and how they do some things down there, so.
Very good. Troy hit on a bunch of some of the similar things we're doing here, sale, unpacking standards. Some of our staff have gotten into some scope and sequence stuff that we're doing and tying it right back into unit lessons. Our juniors took the ACT March 17th. Freshmen went to Northwoods Tech, Rand's Trucking, and BioOrigin, and our sophomores went to CBTC for their campus-wide tour. The 17th, our freshmen and sophomores took the pre-ACT, and thanks, Jen, I put that in there actually, so I didn't forget. Our juniors went to TTM Technologies and ITW Delta down in Chippewa. Jen helped set us up with some contacts there to see some different industries that we don't have around here. And then they came back to town and toured Rockwell. We had the 18th, then we had Ladysmith Fellow held a reality challenge here for all juniors, Ladysmith, Flambeau, and Bruce. Thanks, Nance, for coming in and helping work that table. And so kids would go around, here's how much money you make, this is your job, this is how many kids you have, this is your taxes, this is insurance, and Dr. LeMay helped sell some insurance to kids and kind of put life in perspective for them, what's coming at them like a freight train. The middle schoolers went to Christie Mountain last Friday, and Lumberjack Day is on Friday. And we toured, on our way back from sale, Dr. LeMay, Troy, and I stopped at Whitehall to tour their Regional Emergent Technology Laboratory. I did put the link to their website there. Check it out. It's really cool, really, really cool. Some different ways to do education, some things that will work together and try to figure out what we can do.
And then I'll just highlight a few on mine. I attended or was part of 2 different committees for Russ County, and I think one of the things I learned from this all is Russ County is a very aging population as a county, and Russ County is trying to figure out what it wants to be. And so that kind of, I think, came up clear from both of those committees. Right now, there's a little bit of a crossroads for the county itself. What does Russ County want itself to become at some point? Which I think then leads a little bit into what Kirk mentioned about Whitehall and attending that. I think what they have for programming and some of the partnerships that Whitehall does with a few of the other surrounding districts is a model, an idea that I think that's something that Russ County can definitely emulate. I would like with the admin team to talk a little bit more and then present something kind of to you as a board, just some ideas envisioning as we look forward, ways we can maybe model things different and approach things differently for education. Then just the last thing I will mention is that we had 2 snow days and we have a few hours left, but I'm fingers crossed we are done with the winter weather. But I will say staff did a good job of cleaning up snow that Friday and that Monday. There was a lot of snow to move, and so we were able to get folks here and get things cleared and have school on Tuesday. So
I have that for you.
oh, perfect. And that was what we worked on. Was that?
I know.
Mr. Hersel just followed up. So
I got a question.
yes.
When you talk about behavior issues, and we only see majors and minors, what's a major?
That can vary from disrespect, major disrespect, where a kid tells a teacher off.
Where do we measure an incident of bullying? And I'm just gonna keep pounding on this, so, just so you know.
What do you mean?
Well, we lost a student, went to Flambeau for
Okay.
bullying. What happened there? Not the actual events, but what was the outcome of that investigation if we did one?
Yeah, I can explain it more in closed session.
I can come see you.
Yeah, I'll gladly, I'll walk you through it, because I actually had a really good conversation with both parents.
Instead of walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come by.
I'll fill you in, absolutely.
I would just say for me, like when I explain it to parents, the minors, I usually tell them it was similar to back when I was in school, you get your name on the board and say, this happened. Majors would be, they're sending them to me or expected to go above and beyond what they can handle in the classroom.
Okay. It was the same student that we had an issue with last year, though. That's all I got.
Alright, move to approve the consent agenda as presented on both sides.
We,
Well,
you have to Kyle, just keep it.
yeah, I went first shot. This one, thank you.
I don't have to today.
Oh.
Okay.
Does anybody else have a board shout out? Okay, let's
I
go.
have Janet Dollar.
So,
What do you say?
shout out or?
Oh, I just over here.
No,
That's my shout out.
all right. Well, that was unnecessary, but.
Alright, move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion and do we have a second?
Second.
All those are we having discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Move to approve resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, establishment of an escrow account with respect to and the defeasance of certain of the general obligation school facility improvement bonds.
Oh, second.
We have a second. Do we have discussion? Anything, Jason? There?
So again, we have defeased the last few years, and that is the prepayment of debt, which ultimately saves the district and the taxpayer by, well, then quite a bit in interest payments.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Move to approve the CISA 10 contract for the 26-27 school year as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll just point out there was an increase from the initial bill. We have had some of our OT and our vision had to shift, and we weren't able to find anybody, so we're contracting with CISA for next year for those services. We would hope to look and see if we can find our own again the following year, and or work with our neighboring districts to find somebody. But that is why you do see the increase over last year's total because of those services.
All right. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Move to approve the CISA 10 contract.
Yeah.
Move to approve the first reading of Neola policies listed 1 through 17.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Jason, anything?
So I apologize, I sent the kind of the summary of that, I believe, on Monday, but most of the policies, a few are ones we were lacking that were referenced in other policies, so adding those in. A couple were done through our Title I audit, we realized we were missing a piece. So that's 2 of those, then the rest mostly deal with federal regulations. A lot of those are, again, accounting and just changing those to align with that. We will continue to work through policies and get the other ones updated over the course of the next few months also. So this, you can expect basically policies through November.
Right. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Move to approve the Start College Now Fall 2026 courses.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mike seconds. Any discussion there, Jason?
Mr. Hughes?
So you can see English Comp 1, English Comp 2, that is actually going to be a Russ County class that CBTC is putting on for all 3 schools in Russ County, so it's set in the schedule. Everything else is kind of aligning with what we've offered in the past for students and give them some opportunities to get some college credits.
And I'll just mention, just because it's listed here does not necessarily mean a student will take all those classes. It's, again, they have to get approved and then whatever fits in the schedule with the technical college.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And the upcoming meeting dates. We have April
Tax day.
15th, yeah. We're gonna move that one.
Yep, we'll go to the elementary.
Which one we moving? April.
We're gonna host it at the elementary,
Yeah.
so mix up.
Oh, it's gonna be there.
It's gonna be at the elementary. I thought it would be, I asked Jason to move it there. Good idea to go over there and see that building or at least.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I can walk.
Gary, can you put that in your reminder?
We're always sitting here, even
You might have to
myself,
send that
all set
a
up.
couple times.
I will show up.
I would send that out at least twice.
When I don't see Gerard side by side, then I'll be like, oh.
And then I'll just mention the June 10th meeting, that is a week earlier, and that is when our school perception survey will be presented. So that one, we'll set up reminders too, but that's actually the second Wednesday as well.
All right. I guess we're ready for a motion.
Move to enter into executive session for considering employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation of a public employee pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, to discuss 26-27 staffing, preliminary 26-27 staff salaries, support staff wages and administrator salaries, and the middle high school principal position and contract for the 26-27 school year. And pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, to consider financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons surrounding possible personnel issues.
All right.
I'll second it.
I was gonna say we have an incredibly long motion. Do we have a second?
I did, yes.
Roll call.
Jen?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Dustin, yes. Mrs. Keeler? Yes. Jeff Foley?
Yes.
Yes.
Gerard?
Motion passes. We are in executive session.
Cause I'm going really fast. I gotta shut the Oh. If you, could you put it in the copies? I'm a big copy. Run the block, had to go back.